Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Millie. I see Millie Safranek there.
Hi, how are you? Josie? Oh, great. Nice to meet you. Yeah, too. Yeah.
Woke up 9:30 comes Eastern time.
That's a Henrietta residence there, Bill.
Down. Shout out.
You used to be our town councilwoman.
He didn't really come around.
What's Rob?
What's going on? She's a good person, everyone.
Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Boeing is Intel. That goes to our next step here in a second. Sitting next to me, even Intel is higher today. About half the NASDAQ 100 is also.
Oh, turn my video on.
Marvell.
There we go.
Not super big sensitive company. Tesla's higher.
How are you? All right. Good. You good? You ready to record? Yeah, great. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We'll get started. Welcome to the April 25th, 2024 Monroe County Planning Board meeting. I will take roll in a second. We have a couple votes here. We have minutes and four other action items. So we'll get flying through here. Bill Santos, I'm here. Mike Wiedemer, here. Sam Trapani, Andrew Hollister, Orlando Rivera. I see Dave. Good, gotcha. I hear you. Dave Watson. Here. Millie Safranek. Andre Evans. Andrew Hollister. How are you? Robert Colby. Rachel Barnhart. Jeff McCann. Adrian Green. Amy Grower, Laura Smith, Robert Franklin, your turn. Josette Mangieri, Richard Tantalo, here. Christina Doherty.
Good afternoon.
Oh, hi, Christina.
Hi.
Mike Garland and Sean Murphy. Great. Yishan, you want to announce staff?
But we have some guests here. So Deputy Director from Department of Transportation, Tom Powell is here to, they have a few action items for the board. We also have Joe Taddeo from the Finance Department. And for the planning staff here, planning department, we have our director on the list. And also our senior associate planner, Pat Gooch. And we also have like two new staff to our planning team. Planner 2, Lucy Grayton. She started with us April 2nd. Yeah. And so almost a month in, and she keep coming back. Also, we have a clerk, Lisa Hantun, and she started this Monday. And so she will work closely with the board, replace Kim Hansen, doing some of the assisting me, supporting the planning board. And welcome them.
Congratulations. Welcome everyone new. First item on the agenda is approval of the March 21st, 2024 meeting minutes. I need a motion for those, please.
So moved.
Thank you, David. Is there a second? Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion on those changes, revisions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? And you're abstaining. So you don't have to. You don't have to. It's minutes, so. Okay, Millie. Abstain. Good. All right, announcements and communications. I have one. I'd like to welcome Millie Safranek to the board, and she is replacing Robert Barley. And I'd like to also thank our gratitude to Mr. Barley for his time on the board and volunteering.
Thank you. I enjoyed it, Bill.
Yeah, great to have you here, and welcome, Millie. Any other announcements?
Chairman,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everyone know that the Department of Environmental Services is having a climate action plan workshop May 8th from 5 to 8 p.m. At MCC's campus. I'll make sure that Ishan sends around information.
I have some.
Oh, perfect.
Flyers.
But, please attend if you can, and if not, please share with your colleagues and networks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
How's that process going? Where are we?
So this is actually kind of not necessarily the conclusion, but getting near the conclusion. And so there is a preliminary action plan and workbook that they'll be proposing and presenting to everyone. And we'll be getting citizen feedback before we move through the next steps of the process over the summer. So wrapping up, hopefully.
Cool. And this, I assume this will affect our future CIPs.
Potentially, yes. We've had those conversations.
Yeah. Any other announcements and communications? Hearing none, we'll get into action items. The first item is to recommend adjustment to the proposed 25 through 30 CIP and increase the funding for the Pure Waters Project Northwest Quadrant Pure Water District preliminary treatment improvements in the amount of $2 million in the project year of 2027, increasing the overall project total from 4 million to 6 million, and recommending this change for the proposed 2025 through 2030 CIP. I need a motion for that, please.
So, Chairman.
Robert.
Second.
Thank you, Rachel. And their discussion, presentation.
So I can set the stage.
Okay.
In the process of concluding the CIP, this board had recommended the CIP to the county executive. During that process, right as we've completed it, we were sent a letter letting us know that there was a requested change, an addition of $2 million to a project that Sean Murphy will go into more detail on. But that's really the setting the stage, and Sean will tell you the specific details of that project. And we can talk about the exact change, where it happens, and how it affects the CIP after the business presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
So with that, maybe we'll do this first and then kind of
Yep.
talk what the impetus of
Sure.
that was. So if you go to the next slide, please. Just historically, I put the letter from the exec just for documentation sake. Yep, one more. So it's kind of a dark thing to see, but there's a Northwest Quadrant treatment plant. North is to the right. That's where the lake is. It's up towards the parkway. And wastewater comes in through the Buttonwood pump station, which is a little bit off to the left. Gets pumped into preliminary treatment facilities, which is a bunch of screening, takes out the large solids, goes through a primary process, which is gravity. The smaller solids then settle out into a tank, goes through the aeration system, which is a biological system. That's where the bacteria eat all the organics and all that to clean up the wastewater. That then goes into final settlement where the bacteria are all settle out. That goes into a solids handling building where the solids are then disposed of in some manner. It used to be incineration, now it goes to the landfill after stabilization. And there's an administration building in the bottom. So essentially what happens, this project is at the front end of the process, where right now we have 1.5 inch screens, manual screens in the Buttonwood pump station. We'd like to decrease that to 1/2 inch screens to take out more solids. And then in the primary treatment or the preliminary treatment, right at the plant, right now they're 1/2 inch screens. We want to get those down to 1/4 inch screens to take a lot of the solids out of the process, which then helps downstream when we have smaller pumps that recirculate wastewater that may have solids in it, they get gummed up and boogered up and stuff, and they're really hard to maintain at that point. So that's what the goal of this process is. So the next couple slides just give you a little bit more detail, probably more than you're going to want to know, but it's okay. This next slide will show you what the manual screen looks like in the pump station. You can kind of see it down at the bottom. That's 1.5 inch gap between these bar screens, and it's manually cleaned off. So every day or a couple days, crews will go in there with rakes and take all the big chunks out, put it into a bin, and it goes off to the landfill. What we like to do on the next slide is use what's called a multi-rig bar screen. It's basically a mechanical system where there's a screen, and it'll show up in the next couple slides, where it all happens automatically. We don't have to have staff go out there and do that. The screens will get smaller, so they'll go from 1.5 inches down to 1/2 inch. They'll be able to take out larger material.
Yeah.
And then also put in a process where instead of just throwing a bunch of leaves and all that garbage into a dumpster, it will go through a press that will actually squeeze out some of the water, compact a little bit better, so we can haul away less water, but then also more compact material. So that's okay. Yeah, so essentially you can see on the right-hand side, this is what the thing looks like. It sits down the channel. So on the side, you see those 2 little black stripes. Let's say that's the part that sits in the channel. Wastewater goes through it. Then any material that hits up on the screen will get pulled up out of the water with those blue rakes, and then put into a device that'll squeeze the water out of it and then compact it and put it into a roll-off container. So that's what a multi-rig bar screen is.
Okay.
Big deal, right? So it's the openings on the rakes that are on the bars will be 1/2 inch. Take out big, leaves, chunks of wood, any kind of stuff that gets down into the sewer. You'd be surprised what people put in the sewer. It's just amazing what goes in there.
How much more stuff will you get going from 1.5 to 1/2 inch?
Probably a 4-fold increase of material.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have we used these elsewhere? Or have they been successful in or?
Well, that's what we have now. So
That's what you have.
yeah, that's what we have now. So
Gotcha.
we're replacing at the pump station, we're replacing the manual 1.5
Right.
inch screens with a mechanical, or I'm sorry, manual 1.5 inch with a manual 1/2 inch. Right. So we'll get more material out at the pump station before it even gets to the treatment plant.
Gotcha.
Then at the treatment plant, we currently have 1/2 inch bar rigs in there now. That'll get down to 1/4 inch, which will get even further material out of there. So if you go to the next slide, there's 2 types of processes. This will just show you what it looks like in an engineering drawing. You can see on the right-hand side, that's the force main that comes in from Buttonwood. The flow gets pumped up, hits this bar screen, and then runs by gravity through the rest of the system out into the lake. On the next slide, this will just give you an idea of what the through flow looks like. So it's just, it's a series of screens, a lot closer opening so that we get more material out of it.
Sure.
And then this next one is a band screen, which is a similar device, but this runs perpendicular or parallel with the flow. So in the case of the flow through, the flow comes in as the screen goes up like this, the flow's going this way. In the band, the band's going this way and the flow's going this way. So it's just a little bit different technology. But the same level of screening will come out of both devices. And those will be evaluated and designed once we got into that process. So if you go to the next slide. Yeah, it just shows you what it looks like. Big chunk of metal. The next slide just summarizes a little bit of what's going on with it. So right now we have the multi-rate bar screen. And we had 3 options that we were looking at for the project. What's in the CIP right now, the $4 million, is based on the multi-rake, just basically renovating the one that's in there now, making it from a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch opening, just keeping the same basic technology in place. And that's where we came up with a $4 million estimate for that, escalated out to a construction of 2028, which is when the project would happen. But in the process of having this in the CIP, we got an opportunity to apply for a federal grant it's a congressionally designated grant. I don't know exactly which one it was, but anyway, there was an opportunity to get a $2 million grant from the federal government. So with that, we decided that we would increase the capital fund by the $2 million and then be able to look at the higher efficiency and smaller screen opening size of the through flow or the band system. But with those two systems, there's an additional amount of effort that has to happen with a plant water system that's used to clean up the screens more than just what we would do with the mechanical bar rate.
Yeah.
So it's about a $500,000 additional cost. So if you go to the next slide, this will just give you where we came up with the estimate. So the engineer back in 2019 had come up with these estimates of 1.9 million for the modification of the existing multi-rig system, 2.6 for the through flow, and then 2.5 for the band. So we added escalation. Again, construction happening out in 2028. Based on what we've seen for escalation so far, we averaged about 8.6 per year. In the early years in 2021, before COVID, we used 5%. When we got into COVID, we just bumped it up to 8 and 10% through the rest of the project. And we're still seeing, in some cases, those double-digit escalation costs, depending on what the material is. And these are heavy steel, metals, all the materials that generally carry that higher escalation cost. So with that, we revised the estimate. You can see the $4 million. So the way we originally presented the project, it was going to be a $4 million project, escalated out to 28. And now with the ability to potentially pick up the extra couple $1 million from the federal government, we went through the two other projects at $6 million each. So with that, as the project moves forward, we'll do the design. If it does turn out that the grant's not available, we would obviously go back to the $4 million project. It's still a viable technology. But at that point, we could even do a design based on the other technology and put it in as a bid alternate. And depending on how prices came in, we still may be able to get the better technology.
And this better technology, back to my previous question, the better technology, that's proven?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when will this be installed, starting?
So this is in the 27 year, so it'd be 28. We do design in 27 when the fund came about, because we couldn't start design until we had the money, and then construct in 28.
When do you think the $2 million federal dollars will be designated?
In 26. Right. Yeah, we've already made the overtures to the federal government to get the application in for that, which is part of the reason that we wanted to show it as a $6 million project and not a $4 million project.
So
Makes
this
sense.
will affect the current year CIP funding.
Yeah, so specifically, the 2027 year for the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District preliminary treatment improvements, the 2027 number will jump from 3.2 million to 5.2 million. And that's the only change. Of course, the overall change to the total cost for that project rises to 6 million. And then if you flip to the last page here, the total change for the cost of the entire CIP jumps from 587,860,000 to 589,860,000. So it's 2 million for the entire CIP in terms of change, and that's the only change that we're talking about right now.
And
At least for this.
And the reason we have to approve this and can't wait till next year is because you want to have this in place in writing so you can apply for the grant for the additional 2 million.
Right.
So the numbers match up when they come back.
Right.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we do. We have one and a second as
Oh, you
well.
already did?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you for the support. So
So,
the,
and also just for information, right? So if you go, this will be in the packet. It's nice to see the layout of the plant because in the CIP, you'll notice we have an aeration project, electrical project. So
Yeah.
those in the future, for those inclined, you can always go back to the drawing and say, oh, that's where this is going to happen, right? And we'll explain that more as we move forward, obviously, but just give you an idea. But we'll make wastewater people out of everyone here.
So from a progress or from a just a status standpoint, we've sent a plan to the legislature, right? So we're gonna send an update.
Yes, so we sent the recommended version that this board approved last month.
Yeah.
And we have submitted a referral for that to move forward as well.
Yeah.
We were notified of this change and immediately contacted the county executive's office to go through this process, so that way we could update the recommended version to match what is being requested.
Great, so, and that they'll only need to vote once then,
Correct.
because we'll have the changes,
Thanks for that.
revisions, and, okay, good. Goody. Any other questions on this motion and second?
Is the major reason for the change, besides obviously the grant money coming possibly available, is less maintenance on the smaller pumps? Is that like the main purpose of the change?
Going from 4 to 6. It's
Well,
going,
going from the inch and a half, I think it was, down to half inch.
oh yeah, so the project at $4 million, we're taking half-inch screens, right? Well, we're doing two things. We're taking the 1.5 inches down to half-inch at the pump station. And we're taking half-inch to quarter-inch at the treatment plant as part of the $4 million. So what this does is this still keeps us at a little bit less, at 6 millimeters, which is a little bit less than that. But it's a different technology, which is more efficient and actually removes more material in the process with the through flow and the band process.
And
It's a
to
little bit more
Andrew's
efficient.
question, protects the pumps.
Protects the
right?
pumps,
That's
right.
what-
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's,
Right.
I think that's.
So there's downstream protection of the pumps and the equipment that happens, plus the fact that we're going to a fine bubble diffuser, the fusion system in the future. That's what the aeration project's gonna be in a few years. That also helps get more solids out, makes it more efficient to treat the sewage at that point, and you have less solids in there.
Plus, this first screen, you're going from manual cleaning to automatic.
Mechanical, right.
So hopefully there'll be some labor savings.
Yeah.
At least desirable labor.
Any other question? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Pat, this exhibit was great. Was it prepared primarily because we were between the board proposed part of the process and the legislator approved?
Yeah, correct. It's slightly odd in the way that this is being changed, so we wanted
Yeah.
to make sure it was very clear to the board members.
I was thinking if it wasn't too heavy of a lift, like every amendment throughout the year, we need to see how the numbers are changing with the amendment.
Can't make that promise, but you can consider it.
Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is to amend the 2024 capital budget to increase the project authorization by the amount of $1,650,000 from $8,025,000 to $9,675,000 for a total project authorization of $9,675,000 for the project Highway Preventive Maintenance number 10 in the towns of Brighton, Henrietta, and Gates. I need a motion for that, please. Sean, thank you. Need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mike. And is there a presenter?
Tom is here.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks.
I believe Ishan has a location map. Yes.
Yes.
So this is what I have. I can answer any questions if there are any. Basically, it's a basic mill and resurface project. We will be installing bike lanes on parts of Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, basically away from the major intersections. But mid-block we'll be installing bike lanes, and then there will be some concrete sidewalk installed on Elm Grove Road on the east side between Lyle Road and Spencerport Road.
Any questions for Tom? Tom, what's the major change here consist of?
We are going to be putting in buffered bike lanes on Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, so that's our biggest change. South Winton will pretty much be putting back what's there now, along with Elm Grove Road. The road itself will pretty much be putting back what's there now, but we will be reducing some of the space for bicyclists on Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, so that'll be the most obvious change.
Okay, great.
Talking about cost.
Yeah, does that cover the 1.6 million adder? Is that what that is?
Actually, the majority of the overage was for the sidewalk, so that was a request from the town of Gates late in our design, which was not part of the initial funding that we applied for. So we did agree to include it in our project. We're expecting to get 95% reimbursed and then federally reimbursed, I should say. And then the town of Gates will be covering the 5% local share for that. So the majority of the cost overage is that, and then some of it's just for inflationary reasons in construction.
Okay. Inflation. So you've got the sidewalk and some inflation as being the reason for the 1.6.
Yes.
Any other questions for Tom? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion is approved.
I have one question for Tom.
Yes.
When you anticipate these projects starting?
We just actually sent out a newsletter yesterday. South Winton Road will be the first one on this project. Should be
Okay.
starting in the next few weeks in early May. And then it'll be Brighton Henrietta Town Line will follow that, and Elm Grove will be the last one.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Sure.
Okay, great. Next item on the agenda is to amend the 2024 through 2029 CIP and the 2024 capital budget to add a project entitled Peck Road Culvert in the amount of $898,000. I need a motion for that, please. Thank you, Rachel. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Andrew. And Tom, are you back up for this?
Yes. So as you can see there, that's the project location of the culvert. Basically, the reason for this is that we received Bridge New York funding, or I should say Culvert New York, since this is a culvert, which had to move up our schedule that we originally had. So that's why we're requesting this one.
Right. And so the latter years in this CIP will be adjusted.
This is for the 2024, 2029. So
Gotcha.
the,
Oh, so it wasn't even, yeah, right. Any more questions for Tom? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion is approved. Thank you. Last one. Item D, amend the 2024 through 2029 CIP to advance the Moscow Bridge project from 25 to 24 and amend the 2024 capital budget to add a project entitled Moscow Road Bridge Project in the amount of $355,000. I need a motion for that, please. Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard, right? Thank you, Richard. And I take it, Tom, you're back up.
Yes, I am.
All right.
So that on the screen is the location of the bridge. Again, this one we received Bridge New York funding for, which is 95% funding, federal funding. So we're just moving this up. It was already on our county CIP to be county funded, but since we've received federal aid, we're moving it up to meet the schedule that's required.
Tom, you're selecting these two last projects based on their condition, I assume.
Yes, that is correct. So every 4 years, including this year, again, some of our project managers and interns go out to every bridge and culvert on Monroe County Road. We inspect them visually, and also the state DOT inspects bridges every 2 years, structurally and visually. And based on those inspections, we prioritize what capital improvements are needed.
And your, if I recall, with the New York ratings are one, let's see, 1 through, is it 7?
Yes, that is correct.
And then the county ratings are what, 1 through 4, 5?
I believe it's 5, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right, any other questions for Tom?
Well,
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Nice job.
Thank you.
And other business, I have climate action plan, which you already talked about. Right? And houses. And, all right, that's it. So our next, any other business that a board member wants to bring up or a staff person? Hearing none, our next meeting is currently scheduled for May 23rd at 3:30, our regular day and meeting time. Yishan will reach out prior if there's no items, but with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Robert. Is there a second? Thank you, Andrew, and all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good to see everyone. Yeah.